What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today, we're going to be talking about the current banner heroes, Charlotte as well as Roana, and whether or not you should pull for them. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, link in the description. I will be trying to do a guide for at least for the first two stages of the advent for the easy and the hard mode, so you guys are able to farm it even if you may be mid-game players. I still feel like if you have the right units, it shouldn't be too bad, and there are a lot of units that are viable for that content. So we'll be doing a basic guide to it, nothing super complicated, nothing with epic difficulty, just the other two, so you guys are able to clear that and get those really nice rewards. But with that, let's actually get to what you came here for, which is going to be the Charlotte and Roana banner. So first, as always, I like to give a summary of where we are, what's coming next, and just a summary on the unit on its own, so you guys get a better idea. So first, where are we right now? We just got out of Seaside banner, so I imagine a lot of you guys, if you didn't have her, you should have been pulling for that Seaside, because Seaside is going to be one of the stronger heroes overall. But that already passed. We do know that Holiday Youthfiend is going to be coming next week. And Holiday Youthfiend is another limited unit, and you always want to have limited units just because they don't come back for a whole other year. But also Holiday Youthfiend overall is a pretty good counter to Bazaar, as well as being an okay unit, right? She's not actually bad, and her new buff actually made her pretty annoying, right? So she's actually a pretty solid unit, and it's always nice to have. Is it going to be game breaking if you don't have her? No. The other thing is that you do have to know that we are very likely getting Summer Iseria right after Holiday Youthfiend, and then the collab right around the corner. So at least make sure you have pity for Summer Iseria, because we have no clue how good that unit will be for either PvE or PvP, right? So make sure you're ready for that, and you should know, hopefully before the Holiday Youthfiend banner is up, you should know what that unit is going to look like. But all right, with that, let's actually look at Charlotte and Roana. Charlotte overall, actually not a bad unit either, right? She's actually pretty solid for a lot of PvE content because she does so much AoE damage, particularly Abyss, and also Earth Expedition to be able to do a lot of damage there, right? So actually a pretty solid unit. And for PvP, again, she's a really good counter pick against Landy and Stena teams, where they have a lot of units that are kind of in hiding. Since she does do so much AoE damage, she's actually able to get to those heroes. Very strong unit, right? Overall, pretty solid unit overall. Should you pull for them? It depends, because we do know that we are getting those units very soon, and you have to make sure you're ready for them. It's not the end of the world if you don't have Charlotte. Not everyone uses Charlotte. She's not like a game-breaking unit. She's a very nice option for RTA and a pretty solid PvE. As far as Roana, though, she just got a banner less than 2 months ago, right? Which is really weird that we're talking about her again. So I will be going over her a little bit faster. Both these I feel like had banners very recently. And Roana is going to be an incredibly good unit. She is disgustingly good for a lot of PvE, particularly the raid. She does so well in, because she's able to easily just heal your team, and you're able to auto safely because a lot of the bosses have counter mechanics. She is very good for Water Expedition that some people do struggle with. She's good for a lot of, just honestly a lot of content. Even the new Advent side story, she's actually not bad for the second phase, although she doesn't give as much buffs as other units, but it's still a unit that is usable, right? So she's definitely a very strong unit. And as far as PvP, she is going to be the Seaside counter. She is very annoying on defense, and a staple for arena defense at this point. And really, really strong at that, right? So overall, really, really solid. Has a lot of potential as a unit. Can actually be extremely annoying. So, should you pull for her? Honestly, if you do, it's really, really good. She will carry you a lot in PvE, and I still use her for PvE a lot, right? Because of raid being so important. So all in all, both are technically not quote-unquote must pulls. The only real must pulls that this game has is like Bazaar, and honestly Crow, and I think that's like, and Polides at this point. I think those three are like the three that I would consider under the must pull category. For this one, and Tama, yeah, that's the other one, and Tama. For Roana, while she's really good, and I would suggest if you have extra summons to try to get her, it's not a must have. Same with Charlotte, while she's a solid unit, it's not a must have. She's just there. But now let's actually look at the kit. Again, we have gone over them before. Charlotte does have an EE, I believe, that actually makes her a lot better, right? And it does add a little to her stats. So as a knight, she does have some crit rate, which is honestly fully wasted, right? This crit rate is absolutely wasted. You do not need this crit rate at all. She's a unit that doesn't need any crit rate, which is actually pretty nice, right? As far as the attack and the health, honestly, the attack is good for a knight, is really good, but the health and defense are average. Same with the speed. but just because she's a knight, she's able to actually be decently tanky. So now it's actually, and as far as the imprint, it's going to be attack because she is a damage knight, right? She's a damage dealing knight, which is why she has so much attack and decent tank stats, right? Nothing crazy, okay defense. No, as far as to what she actually does. So first, the S1, it's an attack that attacks with her swords and has a chance to break attack for 1 turn. This chance does go up to 50%. When you have a buff, this becomes an AoE attack. This is why she's so common for being good against Tenet, because it's just such reliable AoE attacking. The other thing you have to realize is that, and the only thing is this doesn't trigger off of a dual attack. So if you have Cerise, it's only going to do the regular S1. It's only going to do this one if it's Cerise. The other thing that's really cool about this one is that it's always going to trigger a critical hit, right? That part is really, really good. And you also get a 20% CR push if you're getting that AoE attack, right? So now you have a guaranteed crit. You get CR pushing, so even though you are slow, you get so much combat readiness. It pseudo becomes quote-unquote fast if she takes turns, which is why she's very susceptible to getting controlled, and you want to avoid her getting controlled. But this can do so much damage. We'll show the animation in a second when we get there. But it's just a lot of AoE damage that can attack break and be pretty annoying. Her passive is actually going to be how she gets the Fury. So when she gets attacked, she gains some fighting spirit, quite a lot, and she also gets self-increased attack and defense. This is what makes her so scary, is because if you touch her, she gets buffs and she gets to do this AoE attack that's a guaranteed crit, which is the reason why she doesn't need critical hit damage, right? Or not critical, she needs critical hit damage, doesn't need crit rate, right? She doesn't need crit rate because this skill always crit, so she doesn't need crit rate. But as far as this, you get attack buff and defense buff, making pseudo tankier because you're always having defense buff. If you get hit once, you'll have defense buff and attack buff, so she's self-attack buffs, right? When attack, again, acquires fighting spirit, can do a lot of good stuff, right? Just basically get a lot of focus that will lead to your S3. But all in all, this makes her very self-sufficient and makes her a very solid knight, right? And then you have the S3, which is going to be dummy damage, again, AoE, as always, that can also apply on healable. This skill does come in clutch for some Abyss stages, since you are able to apply on healable to some of the bosses. That can be pretty annoying. So this skill, as you see here, you'll have the AoE attack and you will be able to apply on healable. And if you soul burn, you also get to essentially do this skill again. This skill does a lot of damage, right? Again, that's pretty much what Charlotte does on her whole kit. It's just damage, damage, damage. And I can't show you guys the S1, sadly. But again, with this S3, not only is it only a healable, it will also always crit, right? It will always result in a crit. So again, you don't need crit rate. So all in all, how should you build her? What can she do? What's the places that you'd be using her in? So again, we mentioned Abyss she's really good at because she has so much AoE damage. She's also really good for Earth Expedition, since all her skills are AoE hits. And she's also a knight, so she can actually frontline for you while doing damage at the same time. The other place is going to be for RTA. She's really good into Stennet and into Landy. Since she's fire, she does good against Landy. And since she does so much AoE, she's pretty good into a Spectre Tenebria. Charlotte does suffer from getting controlled. That is going to be the main way that people deal with Charlotte, is by controlling her, right? Because as we saw, she does have low base speed, and if she can't get this extra CR push, she's going to be moving really slow. Typically, you want to make her tanky on a ton of crit damage, since you don't have crit rate. So just tanky, decent speed, and a ton of crit damage. You can honestly even put her on lifesteal. Since she does so much AoE, she'll actually be healing quite a bit. So that's another option. And as far as artifacts, she has a myriad of artifacts. But one of the ones that I personally like a lot is going to be Holy Sacrifice, since it actually does let you revive her, right? And kind of makes her a little bit tankier. Her EE also does make this skill be able to, every time you get hit, you get CR push, right? So it makes it really scary for the opponent to attack you when you have the EE. So again, really solid unit, a lot of AoE damage that honestly, it's just amazing. You could honestly use her for Guild Wars as well and have a lot of success, and Arena to an extent. But in all, really good unit, right? It's a unit that I've been wanting to build for some time, since she's a really good fire unit for AoEing. And especially during that time where Landy and Stennis sometimes do pop up in and out of metas, as well as Royal Light. She does really good into Royal Light teams just because Royal can't keep up with all the damage that she does. But now, moving on to Roana, the unit that a lot of people are probably considering going to be pulling for, even though you have to be conscious that we get Hadra Yufin as well as a potential new Samurai Sarah unit. So Roana is going to be essentially just a punching bag, right? She is going to be one of the highest, I believe, tied with Emil Haste, right? Just dummy high defense and pretty okay HP, honestly, for a Soul Weaver. Again, very slow, no damage stats because that's not her role. Just a very standard tank. And of course, the imprints do give you more HP, right? So you have a unit that is just essentially a meat bag. And her whole kit revolves around her just being annoying and just surviving, right? It's a very annoying unit that can be really good for PvP. And again, for PvE, it's just unbelievably good. So first, the S1, nothing crazy. It just gives her a barrier to the lowest health ally for 2 turns, according to her max health. She doesn't have the highest health in the planet, but she has decent health, so this barrier can do a lot. A lot of people do use her for PvP with a counter set on Celestine, and this skill will also heal if you have her on counter Celestine, and it can get pretty toxic when a Roana is not only healing with Celestine when she counters, but also giving a barrier that's like around 2-3k HP barrier, essentially giving a pseudo quote-unquote 5 to 6k heal every time that she counterattacks. One of the reasons she's so annoying to deal with in Arena. That's S1, nothing crazy there. The S2 is the reason why she's so disgustingly good for a lot of reasons. Whenever there is an extra attack, a dual attack, a counter attack, all these different things, you get CR push 5% per unit hit, as well as a heal according to her max health. And it increases according to the allies that have been hit, right? This skill against a Seaside Bellona, assuming they don't put unhealable on you, the Seaside Bellona is essentially not really doing damage, right? As long as there's no decreased defense, right? So that's the only thing you have to be conscious of, is that if there's a decreased defense or an unhealable, Roana's effectiveness drops down. But against the Seaside, this is going to be Seaside's best counter. Why? Every time the Seaside does the S2, not only are you getting 20% CR push for your whole team, you're also getting a ton of healing. Now, this skill doesn't just stop at countering Seaside. Any unit that relies on counter, this will do good in, right? So think Charles, she actually does pretty okay against Charles, because if Charles counterattacks, you're also getting some healing and you're also getting some CR push for your allies. It's really good into Cerise, although Cerise can apply restrict. Even then, Cerise is forced to dual attack, meaning Roana can do some stuff there, right? Counter Dizzy, one of the reasons Counter Dizzy kind of fell off was because of Roana, right? F10, again, another solid option against F10 because of this passive. This passive is just disgustingly good, right? It's just a very amazing passive. As far as PvE, think of all the bosses, like the Asimekon, think of the raid bosses. They all have these extra skills, and it's one of the reasons people can't auto is because sometimes it's just too much damage. Well, Roana, as I've shown before, with Roana, Ravi, Ross, and like Tama, you're able to clear all the bosses for raid on auto because of Roana. With Stella Harpa, she cleanses, and then with this, she's able to just heal and just give you so much advantage that the bosses really don't do that much. And then, of course, to top it all off, you get a really annoying S3 that essentially is going to give you a nice little revival buff, which can go a lot of way in PvP. If you use this before a crawl, it actually is really, really good to do that then, or right before units are about to die, and it can save you. It also is a pretty nice heal, so it can reset the game state. And that's about it, right? Pretty basic unit. How would you use her? Just legit put as much defense and FRES and like bulky as possible. There is a speed build just because it makes it so she can take this turn and can actually use the skill at a normal time. But the counter build for arena defense is going to be this one. Celestine Artifact is the best for PvP, for arena. For RTA, Stella Harpa or Idol Shear is really good. And then for PvE, Stella Harpa is going to be the best artifact on her. All in all, I mean, she's just there to take hits and heal your team from units that hit twice or dual attack, right? So very, very good unit because she does do so much and she's so annoying, and she protects teams from Seaside Bellona, which is her main role in this game, is to stop you from getting Seaside cleared, which honestly, climbing through Challenger again, trying to get back to the champion in Arena, no one really uses her and makes life so easy that I can just slap Seaside teams all the way up to champion, right? So it will make your defense for Arena considerably better if you have a Roana. And overall, just a solid unit to have for a lot of PvE content. So that is going to be it as far as the units. Nothing really crazy. I mean, we're a pretty low point right now as far as Epic 7 content. We did recently get the Advent side story. And again, Roana does kind of work for this one. Charlotte not so much. I will be talking about hard and hell. I'm still working through epic hell. I might do that on stream tomorrow, so make sure you check the stream out if you want to see me trying epic hell. But for hell and hard, I was able to clear everything on auto. It was actually really easy. So I will be making a simple guide for hard and hell, so you guys are able to clear it, because I think it's very important for you guys to, even if you have to farm the hard stage. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but just know that that's what's coming. But that is all I got for you guys today, and I will see you next time. Peace.